Hey, 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 happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to another day that is beautiful and perhaps, at least in the northern hemisphere, it is chilly. I am so cold this week and I just cannot get warm. I was thinking about wearing a knitted hat, but then I thought, who wants to mess up this new haircut that I gave myself? So, how are you? We missed last Monday. I missed it because, of course, Apple did this incredible security update and none of my cameras would respond. My computer went on complete lockdown, so unfortunately, I had to call tech support to actually get my cameras back up and in order. So here we are. It is now Friday. We have advanced into February 4th, and I've got something that I really thought would excite you guys. We're going to continue with curves, and this time we're going to do concentric curves, and I've already been busy practicing. It doesn't mean I'm an expert, but you know how it goes. So before we get into today's show, I would love to do Rob's roll call and see who's joining in. So we've got good morning, Mr. Stewart, and it's now tea time, so good evening. We've got Stewart, we've got Fizz, and Fizz, I just want to say thank you. I got a little gift in the mail. You see my little sassy lady in the background. Thank you, Fizz. It is so gorgeous and I love it. Thank you very much. We've got Trand, and what is she saying? Ready, glad to listen, and I can. The live time is while I'm at work. You know what? What a way to spend your Friday at work. And we've got Angel. Angel, how are you? I really haven't chatted with some of you guys in a while. We've got Mrs. Kravitz in the house, Miss Susan, and she is ready and waiting. And we've got Melissa. She's enjoying the summer weather in the southern hemisphere, so I would gladly switch places with you. And her compadre, we have Yoan, and he said, and just like that, it's the weekend again. And we've got Suzanne Gerard. Nice to see you. Happy Friday. And we've got Miss Tracy in Stitches. You know her better as Curly Seams, one of the Curly Seams. She's over in the UK. And then, of course, we've got Mr. Rob Deline, and he's always here for it. And I think that's everybody. Oh, we got Charlotte. So welcome, Charlotte. And she is one of my when it comes to patterns and putting colors together, she is my guru, my go-to guru. So welcome, Charlotte. So yeah, so Susan loves Our Lady, and I don't know what her name is, but is it Sassy Sue? I put her up on the wall, and I just couldn't be more thrilled. So thank you very much again, Fizz. So with that, why don't we get started with the show? Let's do it. So, officially, welcome to February. Welcome to the Quilt Stream. My name is Chip Connor. I am your host along this bumpy little ride. So, it is, January has come and gone, and we need to, think about, have you guys been keeping up with your, any of your goals, any of your resolutions? I kid you not, every time I even think about going into a new project, I am consulting. I have all the patterns that I showed you in an earlier episode. I have all of those patterns in their own Ziploc baggie, and that is where I'm making myself go to first. So, along the way, I'm going to be trying out the looper pattern, which is a phenomenal it's a phenomenal pattern because I think it's so doable, and it's going to offer concentric circles. But before I dive into this project, I thought, you know what? We absolutely need to get a handle on curves. And I know I started last week on just doing meandering curves, and that was my first jump back to it, if I'm going to call it anything, and my first jump backing into it. Can't get the words out. But anyway, so it was the first time I had done it in a really long while, and curves is just one of those things, at least for me, I don't know how you guys feel, but curves is just one of those things that you really, really need to just get into the zone and do as many as you can so that you really get good at it. And I was looking up on the old Instagram and just, you know, like taking a non-scientific kind of feel for the room about what kind of love there is out in the world for curves. And so I'm going to say, okay, what is one of the most popular, like, strip pieced kind of quilt blocks that people do? And then what is one of the most popular curves that people do? And these people are not just people, they're quilters. And what is the most two popular blocks that you can think of? And we're going to compare maybe apples to oranges and see what the popularity looks like. So again, non-scientific, this is only from what I can just glean from the internet, but let's go to old Instagram and see what those hashtags are telling us. So if I type in the hashtag log cabin quilt, yeah, we have almost 30,000 posts on all kinds of log cabins. Gang, if this is, you know, if you're thinking about doing a log cabin block, go to Instagram. Don't go to the internet. Don't go to Google. Go to Instagram. These are real people that have put themselves out there on Instagram. And look at this. I love this, log cabin heart. I love that. And there, you can just see all kinds of, well, that's not a log cabin, folks. Wrong hashtag. That looks like the wedding ring. So Instagram people, sometimes your fingers do the mess up for you. But yeah, all of these, what are we getting into? These are not, that's a pinwheel, gang. I'm gonna write a letter. So this is a fun, another Valentine's inspired quilt. And then this one, it is a log cabin, and I want to say it's verging on a snail trail, but look at these. I mean, I love how people just have all these different takes. So, all right, so I said there were, and we found that there are almost 30,000 log cabin hashtags over on Instagram. So in comparison, what are we gonna find? What's another block that we could compare to? Again, apples to oranges, non-scientific. How about the Drunkard's Path? I think that is probably it's got to be the most popular curve in the quilting world, and 7,425, not even 7,500. So if you're thinking about, like, what is the, you know, apples to orange, we're saying of all the posts between log cabins and Drunkard's Path, 25% of those posts. And that is why is that? I mean, look at all of this inspiration that you can get into. I absolutely love this one. I love that it really speaks of like a mural, and it's abstract art, and it doesn't hit you over the head saying it's a Drunkard's Path, but I absolutely love it. And I'm getting like those 3/4 circles. You've got I just love it. I love the colors that they chose. I would say this is probably one of those that Tracy or Emma or even Charlotte, those people are so excellent at coming up with different color combinations. But the fun thing with the Drunkard's Path is that there's so many different ways that you can really play with it. Again, not a Drunkard's Path, but, you know, come on, Instagram. This one is lovely. These two right here, the two on the right, both of these are from They are from Paper Saxton, Paper Saxton, which is a pattern designer by Jenny Haynes. It's her business. And Jenny Haynes is an awesome, awesome designer. She's originally from Stockholm in Sweden, and then she originally in Stockholm, she went to college for, what did she go for? Pattern cutting and tailoring. And then she went on to move to London, and then she studied fashion and textiles. And so let me take you to her website, and she is amazing. Paper Saxton, which actually means her Paper Saxton is Swedish for paper, scissors, stone, which actually it makes a lot of sense because as a pattern designer or a pattern cutter, you use a paper, you use that that template, and then you use your scissors to cut out, and you have a stone or something weighing down that pattern. So she came up with Paper Saxton, which I think is absolutely awesome. And anyway, let me tell you how much ahead of the curve she is. There's a slight typo on her website. It says in 2117, Jenny was asked to contribute to a publication by Thames and Hudson. Dude, she is so far ahead of the curve with all of her patterns and her design that, man, 2117. Ahead of the curve. I reached out to her on Instagram to say, hey, you got a little typo. And we'll see if she responds. But anyway, what I love is that if you go to her shop, the interesting thing is that she doesn't actually have a lot of patterns up for sale. One of her most popular ones is in the header here. This one I actually saw in Portland on display at the Swiss Sisters annual outdoor quilt show, and I absolutely love, love, love this. And Jenny will not do a lot that I've seen on YouTube, but she will do classes and she does one-on-ones. And so I was like, boy, wouldn't that be awesome just to get a really one-on-one experience with her, because she is all about these curves. So knowing that I would love to do some adventuresome quilting with curves, I bought a couple of her her template sets, and she has two, like you can get maybe like one or two sizes, or you can get a complete kit. And so I've got two. One is and it's not even out of the, keep it in my Ziploc bag, but you have the Drunkards Path. And this is called the Complete Drunkards Path 11 pieces. And so what you're getting is 11 different templates to cut from. And what it enables you to do is vary the number of concentric circles that you can play with. And I made this guy using her normal complete Drunkards Path 11-piece kit. So I only needed 4 pieces for this, and I'm going to show you what I did. But just so you know it's out there, she also has an oval version which elongates that Drunkards Path, and I think it's a lot of fun. And I think that the looper comes with a printed pattern, but you could certainly modify the design to include using her acrylic templates. And so I know that Rob, he just finished, and I forgot to ask permission to show his latest make, but he made a Drunkard's Path quilt, and it was really giving me kind of like a lantern vibe. It was really, Rob, you did a great job. So I'm gonna put my little topper on it. Fell off somehow. There we go, I got blue. Not that you can tell, but the topper's blue. We go from black to blue. It's that easy. Okay, so I've given you a little intro to some possibilities. I know that was really quick, but definitely check out on Instagram how other people are approaching the Drunkard's Path. Give it some love, make some Drunkard's Path, and post it on Instagram and show all those log cabin block people that, hey, there's more to life than just straight lines. All right, before we get into working on this kind of project, let's go ahead and visit the room and then see what people are saying. So, hey, we've got Mr. Brendan Berg. Welcome, Mr. Brendan. He actually is going to QuiltCon in like what, 12 days? It's coming so fast. And I know there's lots of people out there that are going to be going to QuiltCon, and I wish I could go, but this isn't the year. Not the year for me. It's not in the budget. So, Brendan, I hope you have a lot of fun, and wear out that credit card. Add to cart. And actually, he also loves the looper quilt. I have the same pattern. Makes a great baby quilt. Modern and hip. I totally agree. And then, and Rob actually said since he just finished his first quilt with curves, he's been looking at the looper, and let's do it, Rob. Let's have some fun with some curves. And yes, Brendan's saying report those wrong hashtag people to Instagram. Shame. All right, and then Charlotte says, you would rock that quilt with your solids, Chip. Which one? We've already talked about so many. I'm not in real time here. So yeah, I hope that whatever I could make would be rocked, but you know, I'm gonna take it slow and easy. And okay, so we have Stuart over the wool patch, and he's saying, oh yes, the Curlies have done the Christmas tree one, so modern, and now he wants to do that one too. Yeah, yeah. Why don't we all fly over to the UK and we'll take a paper sacks Sten class and see what we come up with. That would be so much fun. You know, we'll all stay at Stuart's or Tracy's, and then, you know, make room. We'll wear masks. Okay, so don't need a keyboard for now. And then let me show you the pieces that we actually did use for the templates. And I'm going to take you on the down camera. And I did my best to show you how these acrylic pieces are going to come together. So these are 4 pieces that I'm going to use. And I have, actually it's actually 5 pieces, because you've got a corner that starts off, and then you have these inner pieces. You have 2 sizes of the inner pieces that you're going to need to cut out. And then and then you have your outer piece. So you're mixing both convex and concave curves. And then what's really nice is that these templates are oversized so that you can trim them down once you have it all put together. And it includes a 7-inch square, so this is going to turn into a 7-inch finished block. And those are all the pieces that you need. So I've already done some of my cutting, and I'm going to bring over the pieces today. I went with bright and cheery, but I was trying not to go full-on clown car. I mean, I had my Tula Pink fabric bundle, and I was like, I haven't used a Tula Pink in like ever, because it's always like so like crazy for me, over the top, and I need to embrace all of these colors and these patterns. But I decided to go with solids because I initially thought about using some polka dots, and the polka dots I thought would be fun if you had an array in one of the circles, but I was like, what if I cut off, because you remember you're making each piece in a quadrant, and what if I cut it off, and then there would be this big difference between one quadrant and the other if the dots didn't line up. And I was like, you know what, I'm not doing that. I'm going to go safe and easy, and I'm just going to work with my solids. So I've got all 4 pieces cut out, and from my experience, if it's possible for you, I would love for you to use a Lazy Susan if you can, because I guess my only critique of these acrylic templates is that there's no sticky or grab to them. And I know that some people that you can use like some very, very, very light adhesive just to get some little gum action on your acrylic template, and then maybe your fabric won't slip, but just out of the box, out of the package, these really want to travel. Makes the fabric go wonky. So you may want to, depending on your comfort level of using the acrylic templates without any sticky, how comfortable you are, you could do 4 at a time, you could do however many you feel comfortable, or you may just want to go 1 at a time. Then the other day when I was making this sample block, I found that this fabric, for whatever reason, it was really, really slippy, and I was just getting so annoyed. And so then I finally said, okay, I actually took a marker, a magic marker, and I traced the outline, and I did 1 piece at a time, and then I hand cut all of the edges, and it just worked much better. You don't see any of the magic marker action, but just know that whether it's the rotary cutter, whether it's hand scissors or shears, or find a method that you feel really works for you. At the end, you do want to make sure that that your curves are not wonky, because the more wonky that your curves are to cut with, your project is just going to travel throughout the project. So that was that's the best I have experienced so far. This morning when I did my cutting, I actually used my template, and then I found that quiet place, and then I was able to do 4, 4, 4, 4 at a time. Do you guys ever find that? It's like some days you can cut 1 piece of fabric at a time, and then some days you can just like, oh, I could do stacks at a time. Oh, I just got called out. Suzanne, she says, Chip is doing a Mrs. Burns, and I think that is incorrect, because God love her, I don't have any lipstick on my teeth. I was throwing my fabric behind me. I love Eleanor Burns. She's one of those people that you just watch, and she's a great storyteller. She's so knowledgeable, and even if I could come up with just a little pinky's worth of her entertainment or knowledge, my job is done. And Susan is, Susan, there's more than one of you in the world. You're the very busy, active Susan, not the lazy Susan. Okay, so now let's travel forward in time. You've cut your pieces, and then you say, okay, what do we do? The best tip is that you do want to use your 1/4-inch foot. And I normally, that's the better way to say it, I normally use my 1/4-inch foot with my little guide on the corner, and I know I can get a little closer. Let's show it to you. There we go. So normally I use my 1/4-inch foot, and this one has a little guide on the side that is really, really handy, and it keeps me in line. But unfortunately, when I'm doing curves, it just gets in my way, and so then instead I use the almost same 1/4-inch foot, but this one actually doesn't have that side guard, so I really have to watch my little lines. And when you're doing your piecing, actually, I'm going to even take you back to that looper pattern, because she really had some great advice for sewing curves, and I thought these are good tips. So I'm going to give credit where credit is deserved. And when you are cutting, well, I'm sorry, when you are piecing with curves, remember that only the parts that need to be smoothed and aligned are what is going under the needle in the moment. So you're going to have kind of a monster mess of waves on the outside as you're working, and don't worry about those waves. So all that really matters is that when you're at the needle, that's really when things need to be smooth. So maybe you start really looking a couple of millimeters, if that, before the needle to make sure that those pieces are nice and smooth and it really all comes together. So you have two pieces that are just, or actually it's kind of like this. You have two pieces that are being joined at the very last minute. And it really is a dance. When you get the knack of it and you get that feel for it, it's like you want to prepare way ahead in advance to get things ready, and it won't work. You have to be a little bit trusting in the process and know that at the very last second that those pieces will match. So as long as you're guiding them in that moment. And the other thing is that you may want to drop your stitch length, which I'm going to do now. You're going to drop it maybe one notch down. This is again Looper's advice, but you want to drop your stitch length maybe one notch down, and you're taking shorter, you're traveling a little bit shorter instead of taking these longer stitch lengths and traveling across a lot more fabric. You're doing a little bit at a time. You're shrinking that process down. And then what was the other thing? Oh, then the other thing that I thought was interesting, and it was a good guide, is that she's saying that you really want to, if you're looking at your pieces and you're like, okay, what order am I going to sew in? You want to start on the outside because it's easier to travel along this line when it's a lot more gradual of a turn. This has a very high, it's a higher arc, or a tighter arc, and you're going to have to do a lot more movement, and this is going to be a lot more fussy. So start with the bigger piece first, and then work your way down as you build that block. And then lastly, when you're putting two pieces together, you actually want to make sure that the biggest piece between the two of them is actually on top as you sew. And that is actually going to come in real handy because you can actually guide the fabric just a little bit better. Now, when I'm doing my curves, I take both pieces and I take the time to make sure that I give a little pressed notch in the center, and then I fold it over, and then I do another notch. So I'm giving myself 4 little places that are kind of like sanity checkpoints, so that as I sew, I know that, hey, this notch, and I'm going to do it again on this piece too. I'm going to do first a center notch. There we go. I'm going to do a little center notch. And then I'm going to do another little center notch. Or actually, I guess that's a quarter notch. So now I've got, on both of these pieces, I've got notches that I can start lining up. Now, you can choose, if you'd like, you could use a pin to line those up. And even the length of my, when I'm pinning, the length that I'm using that's comfortable for me, again, do whatever's comfortable for you. But I try not to take a really small bite. The small bite, I find, kind of makes more of a bump there. And so I like to take a longer bite with my pin, and then that way I feel like for me it's going to lay a little bit more flat. So I'm just straightening that out. All right, and then you can do your pins at your 1/4 inch mark. I've had like 2 cups of coffee today, but I feel like I've had 9. All right, and then the last one, the last 1/4 mark. And then I don't really worry about pinning the outer side. I don't really find that I need to. And then the other trick that I'm really watching for is my beginning point and my ending point. You might find, and guys chime in and let me know if you have something, if you have a different experience, but I find that my curve is always a lot more smooth and it just looks better when I'm starting the curve. And when I'm ending the curve, it seems to go really good, and then all of a sudden it goes straight. So I think if anything, I still struggle, but it's that end, you know, right when I'm finishing, I feel like it gets squared up a little bit, and I try to avoid that. So I really take my time, and if I need to, as I'm sewing, I'm gonna start and stop a lot, and you'll notice that I prefer to stop with my needle down. It's a good hint, is always stop if you with your needle down in the fabric, so that when you pivot and when you're turning, it's going to be a lot easier to make sure that you're not losing your place, and you don't actually come back down in the fabric, and you're like in a new place. So as she said, I'm going to start with my larger. So this is the fatter piece of fabric. I'm going to have that on the top, and then the skinnier piece is going to be on the bottom as we sew. So let's take you to the needle. I'm going to get rid of my glasses, and this is the fun one. The outermost actually, I'm going to give myself another pin because this is kind of being slippy, but the outermost arc curve is the easiest one to do. It's a very gradual, and then I like to use my foot as my guide to the edge, and you may notice that the fabric disappears under there. So it's a little balance between making sure that you're keeping within that 1/4 inch seam and you're on the right track, but you can actually see the fabric. And you see that, like, this is the easy one to do because it just wants to lay in place. When you get to that smaller one, that's when it starts going loco crazy, and you feel like you're working that fabric to death. But this should be easy peasy. I promise you there are not going to be any awards for going fast. So if time is an issue, I wouldn't tackle a king size quilt. Okay, we're coming up on the center, and everything is lining up easy breezy. And I'm doing my best not to get my sausage fingers in the way. And then you may see, like, there's going to be, it's going to feel like it's kind of wavy underneath on the back side here. That's totally normal. The only thing that we're worried about is keeping this flat in here. Oh gosh, I left Susan's. There we go. I am so sorry, guys. I left that comment there. There we go. So let's get this. But again, you're going to feel like all of this over here, I actually feel some kind of waves, but it's really just a matter of having right where the needle is striking that it is falling in place. And I'm not worried about too much I'm not worried about making things line up when I'm back here. It really, these two pieces of fabric, they just want to be lined up as they're getting right close to the the needle. So we're almost there. And again, I'm not stretching the fabric. I'm just letting it, let the machine do its thing. And we're almost there. Oh, get down. There we go. Okay, now, if you find that, hey, I've got some overlap, so you can see right here at the tail end, I have a little bit of that blue fabric that's popping through. It is not a lot, and I'm not really gonna worry too much about that. Actually, I could do a little bit better because I'm looking at my seam line, and then this is, I think this much is really just a little bit off, and I'm gonna just give it another sew. So let's do that. Look at that. I missed one day of taping or going live, and I messed my camera game all up. You guys couldn't see anything. Okay, so I'm going to start from the other side and just give it a whirl. Where's my little starter fabric? Oh, it's right here. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little cleanup job on this last piece, and that's just because I'm being a little fussy. It wasn't terribly bad, but it could be better. There we go. And I'm back to my sew line. Okay, so when I finished that piece, now I'm just going to take it to the board, and I can see that the fabric, let me take it here, I can see that the fabric kind of wants to go towards that dark color. It just wants to fan out, so that's the direction that I'm going to press. And again, I'm not using any water or anything to make it wet, because I just want this to lay flat, and I don't want to stretch what I'm doing. There's a lot of bias that we're sewing with here, and you want to make sure that you're not stretching it out, because then things could really get wonky. So that was the first piece, and again, the more you do, the faster it's going to go. So obviously at my speed, I haven't done a gazillion of these yet, but I know with confidence that it's going to go easier and easier. So the next piece is the third piece that I'm going to attach, and then I'm going to go back and start the same process. I'm going to go ahead and give myself registration marks. So I'm going to do the half fold, give it a press. And then I'm going to do the same thing, the quarter fold. And then the same thing with my third wedge. I don't know why these remind me of like a little Peter Pan collar. I think Mrs. Kravitz knows what I'm talking about. Maybe she's worn one. All right, so I have my half registration mark and my quarter registration mark, and then we go back to pinning. And I just realized that I feel like my hands just can't grab the fabric that well. And I know I've shared this before, but I'm going to share it again, is that when I find that my fingers can't seem to grab the fabric, I have a little bit of hand cream in my drawer. And once I put that hand cream, then I'm able to grab fabric like nobody's business. Brendan, you should take some hand cream to the Quilt Con, grab that fabric. Okay. All right, so I'm pinning at my registration marks. And I just realized I started pinning upside down, so I'm glad I walked away from that for a minute. But I'm going to do my quarter meetup and I'm actually even going to do the start again because that was helpful for me. And then I'll do the end. So this time, yeah, maybe this time I'm going to just do the last pin, and then the middle pin. So I'll do 3 instead of 4, but it works. All right, so we want the larger piece of fabric on top. So this is the smaller. We're going to put that upside down, and let's get to sewing. So always have my little starter jumper. All right, so this is the beginning, and then I love my tweezers, but if you like a stiletto, go ahead and grab it. And I'm going to pull my pin out. And now I'm just kind of grabbing where I'm putting my finger right where the center pin is. I'm going to grab there. So left hand is actually underneath the fabric as I'm guiding the smaller piece under, and the right hand is guiding the top fabric. So I have a handle on both. And then I just keep making fine adjustments as I go. And man, that hand cream worked like a dream. There we go, that looks nice. And I'm barely, with my tweezers, barely pulling it taut. I'm not stretching it, but I'm just making sure that my fabric is taut. And then I'm just making it smooth as it passes through the needle. And this one's gonna be, I'm telling you, this is gonna be a gorgeous curve. If I can get rid of this needle, this pin. There we go. Oh baby, this is gonna be good. Look at that. Okay, we are almost there. And so I'm just making sure that it's going to go around the curve, and I'm trying my best not to go in a straight line. And I think we have liftoff. We have we have success. And where's my little cutter? Okay, let's see how good this is. Am I a nerd? I mean, like, do you guys get excited when you're tackling something that is not just so straightforward? Like, this is laying down this curve that I had created. It's a masterpiece. It's just laying down like a pussycat. And I'm gonna tell you, gang, I am here. I am in it to win it. Let's go back quickly to the room. I'm going to see all the complaints about when you guys couldn't see under the needle. All right, so Melissa, she says she loves the notch idea, and it's just, you know, it's one of those things that gives you a sanity check as you're sewing along for you. And Fizz says, how to tell we're all great students. The room is quiet. And Melissa says, she just noticed the snips on the lanyard. I would find a way to put a hole in me if I tried that. And yeah, these are so sharp. These are Ginger little snips. And I wish they came with a little sleeve that was like, because I'm going to impale myself someday. And Stuart is saying he is excited for this curve. He is here for curves. And look at that. I feel like it's that reading rainbow. Here in the United States on NBC, we had The More You Know. With that rainbow, you could do The More You Know. All right, so now we are going to, we're going to do this last little pisser of a piece. This is going to be the one that's going to annoy the heck out of you, but I'm going to need that sanity check. So I'm going to do my registration in the center again. And I just forgot, time out, gang. Do you know what tonight is? Tonight's the social Zoom sewing. So if you are available, I recommend that you stay home and join us. I would love for everybody and anybody, men, women, maybe not kids, but want everybody to be welcome and come to a Zoom social night. It starts at 5 o'clock Pacific, which is 8 o'clock Eastern, and it'll be, I'm thinking, depending on the mood, it could be 90 minutes, it could be 2 hours. Feel free to come and go, but you know, I'm just asking that it's, you know, it's quilting time, it's sewing time. So meet some new friends, have some fun, and I hope you join us. If you can't, don't worry about apologies. Maybe you can make it next time. I'm not sure if it's going to be weekly or if it's going to be bi-weekly, but yeah, I just want some sewing friends, and you guys are a fun bunch of people. So meeting code and passcodes there, I'll put it in the show notes too. But I would love to see you tonight. All right, so yes, now back to business. We got our registration for the center, and this is such a small piece. I'm not even going to try any of these quarter registrations because even on the last one, I really wasn't using them, so it doesn't make sense. So I'm going to just find my center, find your center, and then make sure that your whole, let me take it here. So when I'm pinning it, I'm making sure that it's not wonky and it's not pointing this way or this way. It's actually on center, and then I give her a pin. And then we're going to flip it over because, again, you want the bigger piece to be on top and your little piece is going to be on the bottom. Grab your little jumper, get it in place. There we go. And I promise you, this is the one that always pisses me off. This is the one that, you know, until you've done it over and over and over, you're going to struggle a little bit. But once you get the hang of it, hopefully, as the kids say, it gets better. Okay, so I've just lined those up. I'm going to grab my tweezers, lift my presser foot. Don't just let it scooch, let the presser foot lift, and it's the dance. I don't even think I got, nope, I didn't get the first part. So let me stop that. And I'm gonna line it up again. I wasn't kidding you. This is the piece that always pisses me off. All right, so I've got A and B, and I know that they're meeting. There we go. Take a couple of bites, and literally it's just a little, every little bite is small, and especially on these small pieces, the only thing you need to worry about that's lining up is when it's striking at the needle. It's easier when it's a bigger piece and a more gradual curve, but it's not too bad. And see, I'm taking like 1, 2, 3 bites, and then I pivot, and I'm trying my best not to wind up with any kind of straight lines. All right, so we're coming to our halfway point, and I'm gonna smooth it out. Okay. Okay, I'm going to get rid of my pin. All right, we're at the PSR. We're at the point of safe return. Stuart, would you do this live? Would you sew this live? I know Tracy could do it. Tracy's like, give me that. I'll show you how to do it. Brendan would be like, give me that. He can do it. Gang, you all can do this. It really is, it is a lot of fun. Okay, so this one's not perfect, but it's all right because we're gonna do a little bit of squaring up. And let's see how it turned out. Oh, dude, it is really good. Oh, I have no complaints on that. This is worthy of a debut. We've got some curve. And I will say, it looks ever so, just a faint of squareness, but not enough for me to complain. Let's just show it to you. So we have one finished unit. So you're going to have 4 of these units to complete it. And that's the fun part, is when you arrange and rearrange. But the last thing that you're going to do when you're putting your pieces together is just to trim the block. Now again, with the Paper Saxten acrylic templates, you actually got a another template that she includes in the kit, and that is your 7-inch acrylic ruler. So all I'm going to do is put that over on over my block, and then I can just square it up. Now the beauty of it, I don't know if you can tell easily, but there are registration marks here on that ruler, so you can say, hey, this is where I'm supposed to start and finish. And then you want to make sure that I would worry about mostly the outside to make sure that that's lining up. So you can see that where's my little tweezers? They have traveled. Where art thou, tweezers? Oh, here they are. Okay, so when I'm putting this together, and I have the registration mark that is my outermost point, and I'm getting that curve, then this one, actually, my curve is a little bit bigger than where that registration mark says it should be. And then this last one is actually pretty spot on. So I made up some distance there. But now that I have that, then I can go and take my rotary cutter and then just square up the block. 1, 2, and then I'm going to turn it and give it the final cut. And I think that looks good. Come on. There we go. So really, it just turned out really, really nice. And I am pleased over that. So what do you think? It took a bit to do one little unit, but I promise you, the more that you practice and the more that you try it over and over, and you're not having to do it in front of, you know, an audience of people, you should be able to whack these out. And maybe start out with a little blankie, start out with a little baby quilt. So like maybe this one, their suggestion on the looper, their suggestion like a 40 by 40. This is going to finish out at 7 inches. So that's already 14. So maybe you could add some other direction. I mean, like it could be a lot of fun, and you may not have to do as many curves as you thought you would, but I definitely think that you should give it a try. All right, gonna go back to the room. We're almost at time, and Rob is a nerd. He says, what a super looper. And then Susan's saying, yeah, Chip, come on, stop messing around. I know, sometimes. And then the wool patch, is that a big to do? Like we don't have any Russian bots today that are messaging either. So they must have been engrossed with these curves. Yes, they even got it. Yes, and so Melissa, she said in the other nerdy reference was that, yeah, sometimes you're just going along and we're all nerds. We just like, oh my God, I made this and it looks so good. Tracy, thank you. She said, it's a nice block. Love it. All right, well, that takes us to time, and get out there and get those hashtags for Instagram right side up. You know, maybe we could move the curves up and get more of those, not so many log cabins, and then you could do your pieces. I really think this would be a fun block. You could do like a retro, remember we all had those retro 80s rainbow blankets or sheets back in the day on your waterbed. You can get a really cool design, and then don't be like me. Move past all of these solids, and you could do some patterns and like just have fun with your stripes. All right, don't forget, tonight we've got Zoom. I would love to see you there. If you can't make it, okay. If you can, great, no problem. Again, the meeting ID is there and the passcode is there for you. You may want to have some headsets for you. But until then, I hope you guys keep sewing and you have a beautiful weekend. Keep sewing. Bye for now.